Hi, welcome back, you beautiful souls. This is James, also known as the Only Zerg. This is going to be part 1, titled Ascension at Calamity, of the 2K Special Series 2. Where we last left off, Naofumi was heading to bed after Raphtalia had fallen asleep, and he had ordered Egress to basically be her bodyguard and protector. And, well, this is why I said that in the manner that it is. So we start our story off several hours. I would say it would be an early morning before the sun rises. After Raphtalia wakes Naofumi up with a scream. When Naofumi wakes up, he sees Egress pinning 2 people down on the ground. And you just hear Raphtalia say, "Naofumi, what is that? And why is it threatening those men?" Naofumi, being all groggy, he says, "Egress, I thought I told you to hide for now. The others could have..." And then Naofumi stops, in his process of finishing that up, when he looks at Raphtalia's face, and he sees a small cut on her cheek. "Ah, I see. Good job." Naofumi then explains that this is Egress, my strongest shadow minion. I assigned him to be your personal bodyguard, so that I know that you're safe. And it seems like he did his job, as he walks over and says, heal. And as he's going across her cheek, and she's like, "What?" And he says, "Well, it seems like those men attacked you, and Egress did what I told him to do. Now, Egress, let them speak. You two, why did you attack her?" "Random people, because she is loyal to you and what you did to the princess." As soon as the man says this, Naofumi has a flashback to the night he died. And the whole scene replays through his head, and then he looks at the men very carefully. He's like, "Wait, you two killed me. Did the king put you up to this? Or did the princess put you up to this?" While Egress has 2 blades out, one at each of their throats. The 2 coughing up some blood because Egress did really hit them hard. "No, we did this on our own will, and no one had to order us to attack you, you demon." Naofumi then looks at Raphtalia and then looks back at the men, and he says, "Then die," as Egress just pretty much slices their throats up while caving in their chests. Then Raphtalia is a little freaked out by this. She's saying, "Naofumi, what's going on?" Because Naofumi hadn't explained to her how he gained the ability that he did. He just explained to her that he awakened. Like, basically, he explained awakeners to her, like people that had awakened to a power as a hunter in his world. And then he explains to her that apparently there's some faction out there, and he explains to her how he was wrongfully accused of raping someone. And this, like, the look on her face, like, Naofumi's like, I guess you think that's true then. And Raphtalia was like, no, that's not it, Naofumi. It's just, I can't believe you would ever do something like that. I mean, you've had plenty of opportunities to do something like that with me. And you even told me that's not what you want. The night at the inn. It's just... She looks over at Igre. She's like, you really won't leave me, will you? And Naofumi kind of hugs her and says, yes. Now, let me show you how I gained these shadow minions. He turns to the two corpses that are still warm, by the way. And he says, you two follow me now. Arise. And the two shadows kind of stand up, and they're looking at him. And he says, dismissed. And this is the beginning of the day before the wave. And Naofumi, because of him actually going to the hourglass and seeing it, but they denied him a class upgrade. But it didn't really matter in the long run. So this is the day before the wave. Naofumi decides to make a visit to the blacksmith to kind of put in an order and to do a few things. The door opens up and the blacksmith says, welcome, welcome. Hey, old man. Ah, it's you. Ah, if it's not the shield hero, what brings you here? Naofumi starts pulling out crates of ore. Then he pulls out some of the hides that he had. And, well, he turns to the blacksmith, who has an utter look of shock at what he just witnessed, because to him it just seemed like Naofumi just pulled this crap out of thin air. And he kind of explains to the blacksmith about his time in the loot, how him and Raphtalia basically cleared out the mines and mined up a bunch of ore. And these are some of the hides that he got, because it seemed like the monsters that he killed, the demon dogs, or whatever they're called, whatever you guys call them, their hides seem very tough. And I thought maybe some leather armor could be made out of it. And he says, can you make some equipment with these? Like 2 short katanas and, well, some hide armor. And the blacksmith goes, yes, but I would need 20 gold pieces to do this. Naofumi says, why so much? Well, to turn all this into equipment. At that point, Naofumi begins to laugh. He's like, no, that's not what the rest of the ore's for. I have a business offer for you. Make the equipment I want for me, and, well, make me 2 full-size katanas in the 2 shorts as well, and the armor. Kind of add a little, if you're able to, maybe like some plating to it. I don't know. You're better at this stuff than me. You've done this for years. And, well, you can keep the spare materials as long as I get my equipment. The blacksmith looking at Naofumi, and Naofumi says, "What?" And the blacksmith's rebuttal is like, "Well, what else is there you're not telling me?" This is when Naofumi looks at him and is like, "Ah, you caught that, didn't you?" So, full stop right here. The only two people that Naofumi will be friendly to at this point in the story is obviously Raphtalia and the blacksmith. And well, the medicine herb person as well, but he won't be. It's more business with that person. With the blacksmith, he's kind of shown a lot of respect towards Naofumi, and he's flat out said that he doesn't really believe the rumor going around after actually speaking with Naofumi and how he treats Raphtalia. Naofumi basically spoils the girl, but is very serious. So that being said, let's get back to our story. What else is there you're not saying? Well, that depends on the quality of the equipment. As he basically motions Raphtalia to follow him. And Raphtalia says, "Bye, sir. See you later." And apologizing for how rude Naofumi just up and leaving was. So they go, and Naofumi says, "Hey, Raphtalia, we also need to go by the medicine shop. Those health potions aren't particularly feasible for me to keep buying out of the shop." And Raphtalia kind of nods in agreement. And she's like, "What do you need to go there for?" And Naofumi says, "Well, I want to go see if the guy has a book on medicines and stuff, because I do have a lot of herbs stored that I was going to turn into medicine and then sell, but with how we train and how we've been leveling up, I think it would be a good idea if I had some low quality medicine or healing poultices or something like that. So I want to see if he has a book or something on it." So they go there, and Naofumi asks the shop attendant, and is like, "Hey, I've got these right here, some medicine that I've been able to make, but I was wondering, do you have any books on medicine, like ingredient, recipes and stuff for particular medicines, as far as healing wounds or stuff like that?" And the shopkeeper looks at him a little bit puzzled. He's like, "Well, why would you need that?" And he tells Raphtalia to come forward, and he points to a little scratch on her face that has obviously been healed and kind of scarred over a little bit. It's not big, maybe I would say the scar is about half an inch. Yeah, half an inch to an inch in size. And many of you are probably wondering, so full stop, why she didn't feel it, and that's what, well, she did, but it was more she felt like something kind of pushing her on her face, and then when she came to, she just saw this hulking man in armor pinning two other people down, and then seeing some magic radiating off the dang thing. So she didn't realize that she would actually been cut. And the two people that attacked them were basically ninjas. Pretty much. They had abilities to hide their presence, is what I'm getting at. So back to the shop. Naofumi, after a while, bartering with him for some ingredients that he didn't have with some of the herbs that he has, because they are high quality. And he also throws him 10 silver for the book, and also another 3 silver for medicines that he had for better equipment. And that's when the shopkeeper asks, like, why are you doing these by hand? Wouldn't your shield be able to do this better? And Naofumi kind of looks at him, and he's like, what do you mean? And the shopkeeper explains that he's heard that the other heroes have like an auto production. Like he saw like one of them like produce like a new sword once, like when he was in here. And the sword hero kind of explained it to him, and he's like, that's pretty neat. And Naofumi's like, thank you, but then he says, well, you first need to know how the item you want to create is made. And Naofumi is like, thank you, I'll keep that in mind. So with a few minor healing potions of the shield hero variant, because the healing potions in the solo leveling are way stronger. Basically, they can heal pretty much any wound, as long as the said person or animal or something isn't dead. It can pretty much restore their life, almost. But it can't cure, like, curses or enchantments. Like, it won't break a curse or enchantments. So, in the Shield Hero universe, even a minor healing potion on Naofumi's shop would be considered a grand healing potion in the Shield Hero universe, just to kind of clarify that. But that's why the potions are so expensive in his shop. So now we cut to the afternoon, and the blacksmith kind of told them that he would have the lady's armor, like a new set of armor for the lady, already made by tomorrow morning. Because this is in the morning when he speaks to him. So he'll have pretty much a good 16 to 20 hours before the wave hits. So Naofumi hears grumbling, and he turns to Raphtalia, and he's like, you could have said you were hungry. We could have gotten something to eat before you did all these errands. And she's like, I didn't want to bother you. And Naofumi kind of walks up to her and does a small karate chop on her head. And he's like, you ditz, you're not a bother to me. I think of you as family. It's without you here, I think I would have gone on a very dark path without you, Raphtalia. As he kind of hugs her. And Raphtalia kind of hugs him back and says, I think of you as a big brother too. If it wasn't for you, I would have died. So, just a little cute moment. So they make their way to the to an inn, and he asks if they have hot bath. The first inn says no. Then he goes to the one that he did rent out the first night that he was in town, and they said they don't really have that service anymore because they're out of said materials. And this gets Naofumi thinking, I'm going to keep an eye out for those. So he goes to another inn, and he eventually is able to find one. And this only took about 30 minutes to an hour. And Raphtalia is kind of clenching her thing, and Naofumi just kind of pulls out a little bit of a snack for her, like an apple, and throws it to her. And she's like, thank you. And this was during that 30 minutes to an hour of running around. And they find the place, and the place happens to actually have really good food and also good quarters. And as soon as they walk in, the tavern owner says, "We don't allow demi-humans in here." And Naofumi just kind of glares at the guy while like holding up his arm, kind of showing off the shield. And the tavern owner says, my apologies, Sir Shield Hero. I didn't realize it was you. And my apologies, young lady." Because Naofumi's still glaring at him. Naofumi said, "It's fine. What do you have to eat?" And I'm looking for a hot bath for me and my companion. Separate, of course. As he turns to Raphtalia, who has a little bit of a look. But it's literally familial love that the two have. And we also are looking for lodgings for tonight. And the man says this, and this, and he says the price for a night for a room with 2 beds would be 10 silver, and your food will cost another 4. And Raphtalia says, like, I don't know, for me, that's too much. And he looks at her and is like, no, we have a big day tomorrow, and I want to make sure we're well rested tonight. So they eat, they shower, and Naofumi then realizes they haven't done their exercises. And he looks at Raphtalia and he's like, we forgot to do something. And Raphtalia looks at him and she's like, really? I can't believe both of us forgot about that. Well, and he turns to her and is like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to just go out to the city and kind of just take the penalty zone when it comes up? Or do you just want to do the exercises? Raphtalia looks at him and she's like, are you serious? You think I want to go through that desert again? It was so hot and icky. Let's just do the exercises and be done with it for today. So Naofumi kind of chuckles at this as the two head out, and he tells the tavern owner that they're going to need a hot bath this afternoon. So they go out to the city, they do the exercises, and Naofumi begins to think as he comes to the end of his jog, as he sees Raphtalia practicing with the sword that he had purchased for her, and with the dagger, and also her new skill, Dominator's Crafts, kind of moving the dagger around. But then when she goes to do it with the sword, she can't really do it because its size is too big. That being said, he asks her, like, do you mind waiting here for like another hour? I want to see what happens if I double the exercises. And Raphtalia just looks at him and just kind of rolls her eyes, and she's like, yeah, fine. It's not like we have plenty of time anyway. It's barely dark yet. So Naofumi does like another 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 body squats, and then runs another 10 kilometers. When he gets back and he sees like the screen, another window pop up, because he did see the daily pop up, and it says extra, like, hidden daily quest achieved, double daily quest, one-time offer, like one-time bonus, a an A rank key. And he's like, oh, that's very interesting. And then he sees that he gets another box. He opens up and he's like, surprise, surprise, an E rank key. And then he notices that he got an additional 3 points. So instead of the 3 points that he normally gets, he got 6 points this time. And it said 1 time. It said 1 time, but then he notices that there's another claim in the window. Extra box. He opens it up and it's a C, and it's an F rank key. And he's like, haven't seen one of those. I mean, I know about F rank dungeons and gates, but that's odd. I didn't think I would get a key because I've always gotten E's. Oh well, he pushes out his mind, and then he's like thinking, I was like, He just slaps the rest, and he slaps the 6 points into his ant. So they get back to the tavern, and the tavern owner begins to say something, and it's like, oh, it's you two. Your rooms are ready, and give me 15 minutes, and we'll have the baths ready. Naofumi kind of nods at him, and the tavern owner kind of comes over too with a bowl with 2 bowls of soup and some bread, and he hands them to Raphtalia, and he's like, I'm really sorry, young lady. It's just because of, as he looks around at the other patrons, and it's like, it's more, as he leans in, I kind of have to act like that because of business, it's not really particularly good for your kind here. Naofumi kind of glares at him, and he's like, not like that. So, here's some food as my apology. It's our house specialty. And Naofumi, he's looking down at it, and he's like, and he hands, the tavern owner says, you can take refuge in your rooms, they're ready, and hands them the key and everything to the room. As they enter into the room, they notice that there's a small table that you can, like a small dining table, and 2 very nice beds, along with what seems like a personal latrine. A few minutes, like about 15 minutes pass by, and Naofumi and Raphtalia are kind of discussing like what their plan is for the wave and how they're going to operate. Basically, she's going to be with Egress, and Naofumi's going to be commanding the other shadows, taking out monsters, and Raphtalia should focus on any civilians if that's applicable, kind of getting them to safety and stuff like that. And they agree. So after they have finished their meal, they hear a knock at the door. Naofumi opens it, and it's the tavern owner, and it's like, sorry to bother you, Sir Shield Hero, but the first bath is ready. And he turns to Raphtalia and says, you can take a bath first. And Raphtalia kind of blushes, and he just kind of looks at her, and it's like, he just kind of gives her the look, kind of silently communicating that Egress is not like that, and he actually doesn't know what sex Egress is actually, kind of thing. And the tavern owner sees the finished meal on the table, and he's like, oh, I can take that for you. As Raphtalia was getting things ready to clean them herself, and she's like, oh, okay. As she hands it, and The tavern owner sees Naofumi pull out some clothes out of thin air and hand them to Raphtalia, and he's like the tavern owner goes, "Whoa!" So after a few hours, after another 15 minutes, there's another knock at the door, and the tavern owner says, "Sir Shield, the other bath's ready," and hands him the key to the washroom. So as Raphtalia has just been sitting there thinking about everything that has happened, and she makes it clear in her mind. It's like, I'm gonna stay with Naofumi for as long as I can. He really is like a big brother to me. And she gets a little scared because Egress kind of pops his head out a little bit. And she's like, "Oh, what, Egress? Someone could walk in." And Naofumi's like, she hears Naofumi's voice, and it's like, "You sure are taking a long time in there." And she's like, "Wait, honey, Naofumi? How? What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I kind of discovered I can do this. I'm done. You've been in there for about 40 minutes. You're going to shrivel up and turn to a little prune if you stay in there much longer." She's like, kind of like smacks the Ingress's head, and Naofumi says, "What's that for?" It's like, "Can you see as well?" And Naofumi's like, "Yeah, but I'm not using that feature." And she like she's like, "Okay, give me a couple minutes, I'll be out." So she comes out, and she's dressed in the normal gown, and she has her armor and stuff on it. And Naofumi says, "Well, probably won't need the chaps and everything anymore," as he pulls out a pair of shoes for her, similar to the ones that she already had, but less combat oriented, I would say. So now we cut to the day of the wave, and the whole thing with the guards did happen, but he basically told them that he doesn't really need their help, and if they want to, nope, scratch that. That doesn't happen yet. So my bad, I misspoke there. So let us continue in our story. So Raphtalia is smiling and everything as Naofumi is standing there looking at her, and so is the blacksmith. And Naofumi says, "So, you're really skilled at this?" And the blacksmith says, "Yeah, I've been around. I've seen a few techniques." And you said depending on the quality of the equipment that you wanted me to make. How good is this quality? Naofumi says appraise, and he looks at it, and it says masterwork. And Naofumi is like shocked, and he's like, "Whoa, how much did you use to make that?" And the blacksmith says, "Well, I used half the leather and about a pound of the ore you gave me, or let's say 1 kilo of the ore that you made me. I basically melted it down and kind of had someone kind of weaved it in a little bit in the chest and the leg parts, and also using plates on the boots, like the ends of the boots, so that they are pretty much basically they're steel-toed, but it's more pronounced." And Naofumi in the blacksmith says, "So, how is my work?" Naofumi says, great, if you can deliver on my equipment like that, and also the swords that I requested, and Naofumi then thinks, like, you could just make me, some armor. As he, like, kind of looks at his chest, and he's like, kind of like this, nothing too big or bulky, mostly leather, like Raphtalia's. And the blacksmith says, okay, so what was it that you weren't telling me the other day? And Naofumi says, well, you see the materials that I can get, and well, there's not really anyone that I can think of that can offload a bunch of material like this. Yeah, and he says, I also have this, as he pulls a strange looking lump of metal out for the blacksmith to look at. And he's like, I'm not sure what this is. I got this I found this, and I was wondering if you can make a pair of light armor gloves from them. Nothing too fancy, but something that's durable. And the blacksmith, like, looks at him and it's like, you're gonna trust me with this? And Naofumi looks at him and he's like, well, you've been honest and you have a good character. Quite frankly, I think you're a little arrogant, but that's neither here nor there. That's not something we need to really worry about. As he kind of cracks a smile. And the blacksmith then says, you want to go into business with me, don't you? And Naofumi, like, smile gets even bigger, and Raphtalia just looks up at him. She's like, so that's what you were planning. I knew you were up to something with giving him all that ore and everything. Naofumi begins laughing. He's like, yeah, I want to learn some blacksmithing from you and also go into a business venture with you. And he explains a little bit about his world. And then he says, don't be freaked out by this. Egress, come out. And the blacksmith is a little bit taken aback as a large man in very sleek and really strong looking armor kind of comes out of Raphtalia's shadow. And he basically causes like another shadow minion. I would say one of the I would say it's the woman. The woman that he resurrected that morning, or extracted that morning. And he explains awakeners and how hunters in his world have to like close these things called gates. And he basically says they're kind of like waves, but it's more like a rift, a single rift, and and you go through it and it transports you to another world. Yada yada yada. Just basically explaining awakeners to him. And he kind of looks at him and is like, wait, have these things been popping up here? And then Naofumi then says, no, it's just, I don't know, if something happens, but I'm able to go into one of these gates once a day, kind of explaining that he has the ability to open up a temporary gate that nothing can come in or out of, besides him and Raphtalia. So, Blacksmith's a little concerned about this, but he trusts Naofumi at this point, especially after he just gave him what seems like magic metal, and all of, like, the ore that he could ever need to, like, make armor, so he can produce like more and more swords for the army and basically fill some of the back orders that he has. And they mill out the things of their stuff, and he says, he notices a countdown in front of his head, and he's like, oh, well, I guess it's about time. So, poof. The thing, like in canon, they're transported outside of where, like, loot is and where the boss monster is. He hears something rustle down in the woods, and he's like, I guess those three would. And Raphtalia says, Naofumi, look. And they see monsters dropping down near loot. And this immediately pisses off Naofumi, because the people of Loot, like, yeah, they're a little off-put by him, but they're fair. They're honorable in his eyes. And he also doesn't want innocent bystanders. So, like women and like the children. Basically the whole reason because of his relationship with Raphtalia. So, like in canon, they make their way there. But before that, he tells Icarus and the other shadow. He tells Icarus and the two recently up to make their way there and kind of gather up, take out as many monsters as he can, because quite frankly, they are the fastest things that he has there. So as Naofumi gets in, like, he just sees people running away from his shadows, and he just walks up. He kind of blocks like another one as the shadow kind of kills the bees. And the woman and the little girl look up at him, and she's like, "You're the shield hero. Wait, is this thing yours?" And Naofumi kind of smiles and looks at the little girl and kind of pats her on the head, and it's like, "Yeah, Raphtalia, get these two out of here." And then he says, "Igris, you too, help her out. I will deal with the monsters that are here and try to limit the damage to the village. Make sure everyone gets out safely." And the men in the village kind of do the whole thing too, like they said, because they see that the creatures that they had been attacking weren't actually the shadow things. The two shadow things that they had been attacking weren't attacking them back, but actually killing the monsters. And then after seeing that these were actually part of the Shield Heroes party, let's say that, a few of them were like, wow, he really is the demon of the shield because of that and what he did earlier, kind of thing. So, like in canon, like several minutes pass, and they've effectively cleared out the village of all the insects and like the zombies and stuff. And Naofumi had told them to arise after a few of them when he's out of eyesight of other people, kind of risen a few of the monsters and kind of told them to keep in the shadows. So as they're cleaning up and they notice that the wave is their monsters aren't as predominant, but they are still kind of coming in, fireballs start raining down from the sky. At this, Naofumi basically says, "Oh no, this is not happening." And he commands Igris, the mage, and the archers, and the warriors, and the two recent shadows to kind of block all of the fireballs, basically wiping them out. And he can just hear in the distance, "Ha ha ha, we got them all, guys." And Naofumi just glares at this guy. And before Raphtalia can act, Naofumi kind of grabs her and says, "It's not worth it, Raphtalia. Those guys are nothing but jerks," as he glares at him. And the knights, because I would say at this point Naofumi has told the shadows to hide, because it's not as bad, but Igris is still in Raphtalia's shadow. That's his main order is to stay close to her and to protect her at all costs, unless otherwise stated by Naofumi when he's told him and the other two to go forward. So, that being said, one of the Shadow's names is Rokuru, which is a name that a person from Discord that has kind of helped me out with the story. I've been bouncing a couple of ideas off of him, and he's given me insight into it because he's read Solo Leveling's graphic or light novel like I have. And I'm not really too sure because it had been over a year since I've read it. So, that being said, back to our story. The soldiers kind of are laughing. It's like, oh, we helped the shield hero out. And Naofumi just kind of, like, the lead guy here just hears a loud clank in a gust of wind, like, come by him. And as he turns around, he just sees a 3-headed demon dog and 2 other 2-headed demon dogs and a couple of orcs. And Raphtalia is standing there in shock. She's having flashbacks again, and this is more pronounced because this is indeed not the particular dog that killed her parents, but it looks identical, and she's just frozen in fear. And Naofumi then states, like, Raphtalia, come on, deal with the others. I've got this one. And Raphtalia, like, I can't. And then the thing bites into, like, one of the head kind of bites into one of Naofumi's arms, and this just enrages Raphtalia, and all of a sudden a light starts glowing around her. Then it starts turning dark, like a dark aura starts emanating from Raphtalia. And Naofumi kind of looks back and sees a notification pop up in his HUD. Party member forced class upgrade. And all of a sudden, Raphtalia disappears, and the 2-headed dogs get decapitated. The ogres, the couple of ogres that are there, get destroyed. And the soldiers are just standing there in utter shock at what they have just witnessed. And before Raphtalia collapses, she ends up stabbing the 3-headed dog in the back through its heart. Naofumi is just standing there looking at Raphtalia kind of shocked as she begins to collapse. At this, before she hits the ground, the egress kind of pops out and catches her. And Naofumi can kind of hear he hears something that he didn't expect, and he hears Egress speak, and it says, "Lady Raph, rest. We will take care of Lady Raph, rest. Lady Raph, rest." And Naofumi kind of rushes over, and the soldier's like, "Let the demon rot here. Let's go help the real heroes." A few of the soldiers they listen. But just like in canon, a few of them stay back, and Naofumi, after healing up Raphtalia, is kind of looking at her amazed. Because her hair has changed a little bit. It's gotten darker. Like a more, God, what is it? More of a dark amber color. Like her hair is a darker amber color with a little bit of like sapphire, like purplish sapphire tint to it. You know, that purple that's so dark that it's almost black? That kind of sapphire purple. So I would say another 10-15 minutes pass, and the soldiers are looking at Naofumi and like Raphtalia, and Raphtalia just finally like actually collapses completely into Naofumi's arms. And the soldier, like a couple of the soldiers, run up to him and like thank him, and they kind of make their way to where, like, back to the city. And Naofumi is just standing there. The villagers come back. There is damage, like their tower had been destroyed, a couple of buildings had been destroyed. Naofumi then pulls out like lumber and stuff from his item, and the villagers are kind of asking, like, "What are you doing, Sir Shield Hero?" And Naofumi looks at him and is like, "Well, I can't have my business venture like failing on me, can I? First, we'll finish the day up and at least get the tower finished building." And well, he pulls out a sack of money and he tosses it to the village chief, and he's like, "Use this to repair the rest of it." And oh god, he summons all of his shadows, and he tells Egress to take command and to take the shadows and clear out the dungeon, also with a few of the ogres, and like a few of the ogres, to kind of test out his new shadows, because those ogres are a little bit low level. He has another idea for the dogs, though. So that being said, he tells Egress to kill any monsters, and then he said as he summons the 3-headed demon dog, people begin to freak out, and he tells them to calm down, and he explains to them that this is another one of his summons. Not telling him how he got it, but nonetheless. Because, I mean, say after they left, the villagers and the knights were preoccupied and didn't see Naofumi kind of doing little dirty things. Basically telling him to rise and disband immediately. So the villagers are saying, it's like, "Why are you really doing this? Aren't you a bad guy?" And Naofumi just turns to him and is like, "It's my job, right? To protect the village, to protect like the citizens of this country, to protect the people of this world. And well, if you guys are going to continue mining and giving me gems, I might as well clear out the cave again." And well, he turns to Raphtalia, and Raphtalia kind of like, her eye twitches a little bit again at that, where it's like, "Yeah, we really don't want to go through that again." So he tells Egress to go and clear out the cave while pointing at the dog. And he's like, "If you find any more creatures like this, or something you think will interest me, bring me their corpses." And Egress says, "As you command," as him and the other shadows take off. So at that is where I'm going to end this part, and I'm going to explain this. So basically, Raphtalia, because of the solo system and how the hero system, the cardinal hero system, interacts, She basically kind of sort of awakened, but not really. Basically, Naofumi's systems kind of force upgraded her class. And the class's name was, like, the name of the class is like Shadow Lord's assistant. But I can come up with, if someone wants to comment a better name down below, go ahead and I will. In the next episode, I will kind of go over the abilities a little bit more that Raphtalia had gained, and also a little bit more on the side of them getting their armor and everything and stuff like that. That being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think down below. Like usual, see you beautiful souls in the next video.